Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Rana, it's good to see you, Rana. I feel like before anything else, congratulations are in order.
Thank you.
We last spoke in April, and you were groaning and moaning about, like the rest of us, about the lockdown and about the pandemic, and and here we are, just a few months later, and you're a married man.
Yes, sir, I am.
I'm guessing it's been something of a whirlwind, Rana. Have the two of you settled in?
Very well, yeah. See, I think it's in that sense, it's been a beautiful time for us because there's all the world is away, and you're just home making a new life. So that way, it was very, very. I think couldn't have asked for a better time than this for myself.
Right. But Rana, there's a lot that's been going on professionally too. You've launched your own YouTube channel. This is a digital platform that you're calling South Bay Live. I'm told that it's going to offer multilingual and multi-format content from short form to long form. But what are you going to tell us? Tell us what one can really expect from it. I know it launches on Sunday, this weekend.
Yes, correct. Let me tell you the thought behind why this first, and then it's easier that way. See, one is I think I've grown up with a lot of exposure with understanding different parts of the world, which is why I never feared to attempt new things or go in that direction, right? And I think, and I've been someone with a lot of interests all my life, whether it's in animation, whether it's in technology. I've just been somebody who's been interested in many things. And what I always wanted to do was create, whether it's animation, there was always an interest because India always grew as a children's animation country, but never took the adult world itself.
Yeah.
But there's been enough fans of The Simpsons or enough fans of South Park or BoJack Horseman or every big international IP that lands up in this world.
Right.
So for me, I said, why not create an original version of it, which is why Are You started. And that's from my love of Mad magazines to everything I love in animation. I think I've just put all of it together. And the idea was in South Bay itself, is to bring everybody who is mainstream and marry them with subculture, right? Because India always had a subculture that was different and a mainstream that was very, very independent. We saw a little bit of that convergence during MTV when it was English, all English, where we had a lot of these bands, independent bands from Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, all kind of playing music which was Tamil goth and heavy metal, which is different and all that. And that very much disappeared from the leaving of that platform and going completely Hindi in that direction, right? And also that was a broadcast era where you couldn't experiment with too many things. And I think today that opportunity is risen back fully. And especially in lockdown, they were the people who were completely there entertaining us because they were somebody, they could create fresh stuff and put it out there, understand from audience very quickly and turn it all around, right? And I think that's, as an artist, that none of the mainstream guys will ever get. We make a film for 6 years or something, and after that it doesn't work, then you just don't know what to do, right? So I think that way it gave me that experiment to play with format as an artist. And the beauty was, I said, okay, let me start. This is where I started, and I said, now if I have to build this company, let me find other talent who can do this. And what I was extremely happy about was I had many people following that path very quickly. Started with Shruti Hassan, who's a mainstream heroine, but a great musician of sorts. So she's building a Tamil goth album for us, and she's also making a show called The Secret Box with independent musicians that she's going to curate. We have Raja Kumari, who's a rapper who's now working with us to create a bunch of IPs herself. Then I had Lakshmi Manchu, who is, again, somebody who's lived in LA, worked in Los Angeles, made mainstream career here in Telugu. To connect us with, so the show connects people like Sendil Rammurthy, a fashion designer from Australia, everything which has global exposure, but at a very Indian context, right? In fact, I just got off a call last night with a bunch of Tamil Malaysian rappers. Now they rap in Tamil, but they're Malaysian. And now I said, there is a global connect to all of this. And the only way I thought to connect it is through a culture company. And when this big punch of talent came with me, then with them came a lot of independent artists that could be on that same platform. Then the next piece that we very focusedly wanted to do was news. Now we understood that news is such a part of our culture, but for somebody who's young, the news really stands of no relevance today, because it's debate or it's political, it's something else, right? It doesn't create a direction of opportunity. Doesn't know, okay, now if I'm 20 years old, I don't know if I watch the news, what can I make with my career is not coming. So we said, so I partnered with Under 25, this team from Bangalore, and we started curating news specially for the Under 25 segment, which is covers everything that's happening in the digital world. What is how you make money on Instagram and YouTube, try to create opportunities, where opportunities are being open in this world, what's happening in gaming, what's happening in the esports world. I think all of it together, that's really what we wanted to curate, and that'll be one set as well. So a combination of news, millennial news, irreverent animation, unscripted shows, and music is what South Bay is going to be all about.
It really seems like a complete mixed bag, and it does seem like this is the best time to be a content creator, because there's just a huge appetite.
Yes.
But it's also a very competitive market, clearly, because there is just so much content out there, both in in terms of films, in terms of shows, long form, short form. How do you hope that what you're putting out on South Bay is going to stand out? I mean, these do seem like unique ideas, and really the larger ethos is very clearly unique. But on a practical basis, on a day-to-day basis, how is it going to stand out, and how is it going to kind of be the go-to place, really?
See, like rightfully, like you said, right, the way we consume content has completely changed.
True.
The amount of shows or short content we've watched has gone 100 times over than what we've done 6 months ago, right? And that's the case with every single one who has a computer and a phone, and it's just not us. So one is, what works there is uniqueness and likeness to learn and to be exposed, right? So the idea of using entertainment as a form to inspire and to create a global exposure is what we're trying to do. And that, I feel, what we've addressed in this part is where when everyone's going regional, we're just trying to take regional and go global with it. So I think that's really what the distinguishing factor is in South Bay.
I watched a clip of that show that I think you're doing, Why Are You, which is the sort of crossbreed animation thing. It looks like it's a, and correct me if I'm wrong, quirky, comical sort of talk show where you're animating the guest. Is that right? Because I saw a clip of you talking to Ram Gopal Verma, but I also saw a clip of you talking to Salvador Dali, the late great artist.
Yes.
And I get a sense of where this is going. Are you going to be hosting that one?
Yes, I'm hosting that show, and the idea is it's a talk show, but it's also fictional. It feels like a talk show. Part of it is fiction, so you don't know what's real and what's not.
Right.
So you can't pinpoint and saying, "Hey, Rana said this" or "Karan said this." You can't say all of that on this show. So, and it's really an idea of see, now I've started with a bunch of actors, then I moved to politicians. I've interviewed children, so we're trying to go to life along with these people and see the same viewpoint of different people, right? And it really is, it's a show called Why Are You, which almost, if you have to answer that question, it throws back full existential reasons of why you are actually, right? And I think this lockdown, that's the first thing on everyone's mind. And that was like a sticker that was stuck to our forehead saying, okay, listen, what are we up to? No, what are we doing? So that's really what the show is about.
But Rana, do you believe that this appetite for short form content, this appetite for mobile first content is going to remain even when we go back to a normal world, and when we go back to some semblance of the way that we work?
You're not leaving your hand even if the normal world is open, right? You're not leaving this anywhere you're going. And I hear now, see, I'm saying a few years from now, the tech is going to evolve so much. You don't even know if you're going to have a phone and a laptop anymore, right? Just probably wearing glasses, walking around, doing what you're supposed to do. So as platforms evolve, as like say 5 years ago we were talking when OTTs just came in, we spoke about big four. Now we have 40. Like who's talking? So and it's not the same effect that India will have on like how the rest of the world is. We have consumption space that is far higher than anybody else. And now look at this, right? We're the biggest English-speaking country in the world. So now beat that. So who else can make English content but us?
But why was YouTube the right platform for this? You didn't want to create your own app, create your own tech, really?
One is that was how the initial thought started. But the idea was, I said, now let's use the first 12 to 24 months to be on every single platform because it's content that's owned by us completely. Now, all users are used to actually going to one place to see everything and go back and up and down. Right here, we're just moving content on different platforms. We have a vertical version for IGTV that will also go live. So it's every platform will get. The reason I said multi-platform is we want to make the content fit for that platform. So if you put the promos out, also there's a vertical version on YouTube. There's a vertical version on IG and the other way on YouTube.
You know, I don't want to be a naysayer, but this sounds a little scarily like a little bit like Quibi, right? I mean, vertical available. It's sort of that turnstile technology.
Yes.
So
you have to download Quibi, pay for Quibi, go to Quibi. Here you're on YouTube anyways. You're on Insta anyways, right? And that's how we want to start it. And see again, because the reason I find it very important to be in these platforms is for the data analytics that we'll start picking up on this content, right? See, this is extremely new. Every single piece that we've done hasn't been done before, or we haven't watched before in an Indian context. You see a lot of it in a global context. Like if you keep scrolling on Netflix about Los Angeles, you'll know every single thing, including how they sold apartment buildings in Sunset Boulevard, right?
Right.
So they've taken it there. So I think we have a long way and enough and more things that happen in India that we can document and put together.
What's going to be your revenue model, Rana? Is it advertising or is it going to be subscription based?
So the first is obviously advertising on both platforms, and also there is a lot of because it's live. There is enough slots for a lot of advertisers to come in, and also what we're doing with the advertisers is you might see that same ad very differently on television, but you'll see it very differently on South Bay.
Okay.
So so there's two models to it, yes.
But how closely involved are you going to be able to continue to be with the curation and with the creation, greenlighting the shows once you sort of go back to shooting and to doing your day job as an actor?
See, this is what I've done with most things that I wanted to create. Right, the first 3 months or 6 months, you kind of get your hands dirty. You're with it. I have my own show on the platform, so in that sense, I'm also a talent who's sitting and consistently figuring out. So I also become a client and a talent in the same piece for the first 3-4 months, and then we will find enough and more people who will be like CEOs to run this place. And right now we have a team of 15, and the idea is to grow to about a 20-25 team by the end of this year. So yes, and you'll see a replacement for me.
Okay. Now, you really are the disruptor in the family, aren't you? I mean, this is a family that has deep roots in the film business. Are you constantly sort of shocking them, surprising them?
See, I think we're a family of storytellers. Yeah, that's how we look at it, and I think cinema was the form that was accessible first, right? And you could go all out. We've never taken the television route, but that's when I came in, I think everything changed in the way content was happening. Because also my exposure comes from animation and visual effects. That's the first step into the movies that I have had.
Yeah.
So it's a different ethos or liking to content that you will start having. And I think in today's world, if you're a storyteller, there's different platforms, there's different mediums, and I think there's a very definitive way you can look at each platform, right? And you can do very different things. Like a theater, you can make these big spectacles and give everyone a theme parkish experience when they're in there. With digital stuff, I mean, you can go mad. You can make anything for 10 minutes, 10 hours, doesn't really matter on the digital world where you are. So I think it's just given that super freedom. Like the first round of testing that we've done, actually with some producers, actors, all of them were in the circle. Like the first thing they expressed was freedom, right? Really, you did something, you could do something like this. See, otherwise you're locked to a platform. Somebody has to buy you, somebody has to approve it. It goes through certain norms. You don't know if it's done, right? But here it's much simpler, and people are there to say if it's good, bad, whatever, right?
Right. Let's talk about the acting career. You've got, of course, Haathi Mere Saathi, which now is sort of meant to come in January during Sankranti, and this is going to be Hindi, Tamil, Telugu.
Yes.
It's a really interesting trailer. It looks like a wildlife adventure on the surface, but clearly there's also an environment message. What did you enjoy about it? And I know that it's a film that's taken a while to. By the time that it comes out, it'll have been a while. And do you feel that it still has? I mean, it's still going to be something that will feel like, oh, this was worth waiting for.
See, I think first it's a very relevant story, right? And that's see, like post Bahubali, you always want an experience that's very interesting. You don't want to do anything that's normal because it doesn't excite you anymore because of what you've just done, right?
Correct.
And I think this Haathi Mere Saathi or Prabhu Solomon kind of hit that nail for me, where you were telling a message that is very, very important to tell, but in the most adventurous action format possible. And what it brings to the cinemas is it'll take you right to the heart of the jungle. So we've shot in 6 or 7 locations, right, with 11 or 12 elephants and me together. Now that experience for children or for adults will, though it's an adventure film you're watching, will subliminally kind of give you an understanding of what nature is and what this single character is fighting for. And which is why I was so excited. And I said, this is the only thing that I have to bring back nationally again.
I know that you've spoken, and I think we touched upon it briefly the last time we spoke about that big Hiranyakaship project that is something that you want to do. Of course, he is of course this is the demon king who was killed by Narasimha from our mythology. You're meant to play that title role. This is the passion project. You played Bhalal Dev in Bahubali. You did you dubbed for Thanos in the Avengers Telugu version.
Yes.
You seem to enjoy playing the villain. Is that something is that more fun?
It's very enjoyable in a grand sense, because see, like it's look at how history works, right? It's only the bad guys who build these big things because of their egos, and that's the only history that's left to you. And I think if you're playing, and it's obviously first time with Bahubali, and then after that, every of the characters that we're developing, right? Is there so much freedom in playing a bad guy? You can't get to do that in real life, and I think by the end of it, it teaches you lessons, right? I think every film teaches you something, and I think I take back a lot from it. And these characters, whether it's Hiranyakaship or Balal Deva or any of the Ramans or any of these big things that you see, they come with certain gray, certain right, certain wrong. It was told only through devotion to us. It was never told as a story. And that's really what we expect to do, because all of them are very action driven, adventure driven, very much in scale, nothing short. And I think that's really what India has. And I think that's what we want to offer back. But in terms of shooting it right now with the current situations, things have gone all haywire. Right. So we're prepped well like a Hollywood film, but just to get, now we're a little bit reinventing on how to get some things done, but hopefully end of year we'll get onto floors with that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Rana, because you've been a producer yourself, and because again, you come from a family that has such that has such deep roots in the film business. How do you look at the future of the theatrical business, Rana? I mean, the hit that it's taken, and how long and how hard is it going to be to bounce back from that? Also, like you said, right up on the top, I mean, viewing habits have changed completely. I mean, is it going to take a while, and is it going to take some effort to really take, make sure that people go back into the cinemas?
See, one is for the next 3 months or whenever the vaccine or whatever the normalcy kind of sets in, right? Things are going to be difficult. They're going to be difficult and going to be very difficult. See, cinemas or theaters like other businesses are not any high margin business, and that's very evident. It's a very low margin business, and it works on festivals, it works on cycles, it works on big releases, and that's how that ecosystem is completely built. And year on year, you've been seeing it going smaller and smaller because of the way it is. But where I see now, right, is a very twofold way of looking at things, because one is also there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what I say, but this is clearly my view. in that format. Now, one is, since all of us have gotten used to this work from home, there are a bunch of industries that have completely gone into a tech-friendly place.
Yeah.
Want to go out to cinemas, to theaters will start increasing rapidly. And although there will be a slump for the next 5 6 months in terms of how to get things back, will be the bigger problem.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, suddenly everything starts and you don't know what to do, right? But after that, there will be so much cinema that will be available for the theaters, where again you will get back into a problem of fighting for space, right? So I think we're going to see two folds. We're going to see, so it's like survival of the fittest. So you got to be strong. You got to hold. You got to make sure it's right, and just wait for it. I think that's what the cinemas will see. But progressing, what cinemas will see is many more big spectacle films coming out of each of these industries, and that will only go back into the big cinemas.
Right.
See, like if you've seen pre-COVID, America saw the first 2 years of theatrical cinema growing.
Right.
And the reason being just because you are making spectacles and people are coming back, right? And that will start happening very soon in India. See, I mean, each, like if you talk to 5 Telugu actors in Hyderabad, each of us will have one big mythology
Right.
film or action film that we're putting together, right? And all of this will land up in the next 5 years somewhere or the other. So that I see is going to be a surge back for these spaces. But definitely it's a habit that's going to be lost for a while. And the beauty is, for the cinemas, we will have actors, technicians from everywhere promoting the cinemas with all their big films, right? So I think that will really be the marketing push that, and I'm looking at summer where everybody will be ready with everything. So Christmas a little bit, Sankranti a little bit, and summer the whole way is what we're looking at. Again,
Right.
COVID, vaccine,
Good. Right.
and yeah.
So finally, Rana, as someone who has his, who has one foot in both areas, then you're making the big budget movies, you're making the big tentpole films, but you're also investing in tech and investing in new, in what is sort of new entertainment in OTT, and you've created this. Is that the ideal sort of place to be then? To be someone who has interests in both sides.
I think so. See, because when you get a story, right? See, whether it's my investment in tech or in any of these platforms. Now, when a story comes to you, sometimes that story doesn't have to be a feature film. It can just be told in 5 minutes. Now, where do you tell it? You need a outlet for it.
Correct.
And today, because of all the last maybe 5 years of all the social media that has taken this direction, and with all of the cool apps and tech that you can build things on, right, today, I think everyone has the interest of being a creator. And the idea is, even if you are on a regular job, I think the internet or YouTube provides you to be a content creator and get your creative outlet out, I think. So I think each of these mediums are very important, and yeah, and I think, yes, as a film company, you need to find all those stories and find those filmmakers and find those paths for each of them.
And you're enjoying that?
Very much, sir. Very much.
Facilitating that, yeah.
Very much.
Lovely. Well, cannot wait to see what you're going to put out for us on Sunday on South Bay. I know I'll be logging on to check what's coming up. But thank you. All the best, Rana. I think you're someone who's really been ahead of the curve. Usually, I mean, you're out there. When it's all happening. Can't wait to see what you do with this. And looking forward to seeing Haathi Mere Saathi. So on both the big screen and the small screen.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Rana. Thank you so much. All the best.
Bye.
Thank you.